disruptive.
America that I fought for.
Weird thing to happen. Hello, one and all. Welcome to this edition of Kitz Corner. It's been a fantastic day so far. So you may have heard the suspicious stories that are circulating around Boeing and the defects and the people that they're trying to hide the scandal, hide the deficiencies. We already know that the one whistleblower that came forward about this has mysteriously died, air quotes. And now it looks like there is a member of the casualties of Boeing trying to hide their problematic situation. As reported here from Interesting Engineering, it says a second Boeing whistleblower dies of sudden illness. Joshua Dean, 45, was a quality auditor at Spirit AeroSystems, a Boeing spinoff, and fired from the company in April of 2023. So that is just a 1-2 punch right there. Like, he was fired from the company and then mysteriously dies of sudden illness. Now, I don't want to be that kind of person that puts 2 and 2 together, but I'm pretty sure people can draw the conclusion of where this is going. So it goes on to say Joshua Dean, a former employee of Spirit AeroSystems, a supplier for Boeing, has died due to sudden illness. Multiple media reports have confirmed 45-year-old Dean engaged in a lawsuit with his former employer, had been in good health, and was noted for leading a healthy lifestyle. Spirit AeroSystems was spun off of Boeing in 2005, but supplied key components for various Boeing aircraft, such as fuselages for the 737 MAX. According to an Associated Press report, Boeing had expressed interest in acquiring Spirit and integrating the two companies' manufacturing operations to strengthen safety and improve quality. So what that means in layman's terms is that Boeing was horrified about the fact that this company was actually examining Boeing and their practices, that they need to find a way to silence out the competition. And just like a good monopolist, just like any good billionaire, the best way to do it is just to buy out the competitor. I mean, we've seen it with social media, we have seen it with media companies, we've seen it all over the place. That's why there used to be 50 media companies that ran your television, radio stations. Now it's getting clustered down to 5 or 6, and that number is decreased. Because they love competition. That's, free market. That was the whole thing about it, but they love it so much that they want to eliminate the competition as much as possible. So this guy here, Champagne Joshi, pointed this out, and he highlights the article here from, I think, Seattle Times. It says, I'm sure this is just yet another unfortunate, highly statistically abundant coincidence. It's a real shame because now this guy can no longer expose the manufacturing defects on the 737 MAX. Again, I don't want to draw conclusions, but it just seems too easy. It seems too easy that the guy responsible for calling out the flaws, like the door flying open and missing pieces, which is why all these jets are now being grounded and horrific accidents are occurring, and Boeing has to keep covering their horrible mistakes. Even the workers at Boeing acknowledged in an undercover investigation, they acknowledged that they don't want to even fly these planes. They know how defective it is. They know what a sham this corporation has become. So, yeah, it is a bit suspicious that the guy you fired then took over the company responsible of handling the safety defects, has now mysteriously died. I'm not one to jump on the bandwagon, but we're going to jump on the bandwagon because it just seems the most logical at this point. He goes on to point this out. From February 5th, 2024, at a factory in Wichita, Kansas, where Spirit AeroSystems builds the fuselage for the Boeing 737 MAX, management would sometimes throw a pizza party to celebrate a drop in the numbers of problems reported on the line. But Joshua Dean says many of the workers knew something was off. We're having a pizza party because we're lowering defects, says Dean. a former quality auditor at the factory, but we're not lowering defects. We were just ain't reporting them, if you know what I mean. So this is how they bribe their employees, and this is exposed. Again, they had that investigator from Al Jazeera go into this factory and expose from the workers how exactly they exploit the workers, how they silence them out, how they bribe them with little pizza parties and giving them a bone here and there to not report on these defects that they know is comparable. They know that's going to jeopardize people flying these jets, and they just allow it to pass through the system. And then the whistleblower that calls it out, the guy responsible for auditing this, mysteriously vanishes from the no ceases to exist. Dean would not shut up about the defects he was hiding from, and his presence ended with him being rewarded by being fired. In less than 6 months, Dean, 45, dies suddenly from a mysterious illness, bacterial infection. So it just seems like another case of when they report a mysterious death or conflicted suicide, just like they did with Jeffrey Epstein, just like they did with the first whistleblower, just like they did with other people in regards to Boeing and other members that are calling this stuff out. You know that something is up. You know that these individuals that were perfectly healthy, perfectly adequate individuals that were just doing their job, doing their reports, mysteriously vanishes off the face of the earth for a particular reason. And the particular reason is the fact that they want to silence these people to make sure that they're able to scapegoat under the radar and continue to practice their malice game. That's all this is. They don't really care about the product. They just want to continue to sell and produce as much as possible. They don't care about quality. They just want the quantity. And now the fact that a lot of these airliners in the United States and parts of Canada and around the world are switching towards this new Boeing 737 MAX. I've seen reports on that too. There's going to be a lot more consequences to this. And I'm not trying to scare people from air travel, if that's what you're thinking. I don't want people to be like, oh, I'm never going to do air travel again. I just want people to be informed of stuff like this. I want people to know this information before you board a plane that, hey, there's a bit of corruption inside the manufacturer of these planes. Just like there's corruption with every single malice corporate dynasty that screwed the nation and its employees for a numerous amount of time. And it's kind of sad because Boeing, once upon a time, was actually a decentable manufacturer. Like, a lot of people were employed by Boeing. A lot of people worked at their factories, and it was reputable, and it was changing the way of travel and changing the way of transportation. And now here you are, like, bribing the employees with pizza and food to shut them up about the defects that they know is going to cause more havoc for the company than it would just to actually fix the defects, or at least report them. That's the malice behavior of this corporation in particular. And now another one bites the dust. So you kind of have to take those suspicions, that kind of tinfoil hat conspiracy of, and point the two together. It kind of seems in the logical direction that this was done purposely. This was not a sudden illness. And the fact that it's a bacterial infection, which we know that a lot of people have been, thinking about and cultivating on the idea that it'd be just so easy if we could silence people with just some sort of bacterial infection, throw it at the person, and then boom, they're no longer existing. And we're seeing it out in the open. Like, it is literally informational warfare. They're using, biological weaponry, if you will, to silence out people for exposing the real truth about these corporations and what they're doing to people.